Another local farming family which has been in Bassingbourn for at least 200 years are the Saggers, who can trace their line back to the 1600s. Successive generations have made the most of what the land can provide, weathering both good times and bad. Having studied farming methods around the world, Simon Saggers returned to Hertfordshire with a burning commitment to run a traditional organic smallholding on his family's land.
In great-grandfather's time, it was a mixed holding. And in grandfather's time, there were big orchards, they had a small dairy herd, and they delivered milk round the village. And my father remembers that time as well. And they also had chickens, and so there's some continuity because we also have chickens. And I think that the main difference, really, the most marked difference has been between father's time and what we've done today, because father, as was the case with all agriculture after the war, intensified the holding, and it became a battery chicken farm. And so he had 10,000 chickens here on site during the 60s and 70s. And it's something that has now gone back to how it would have been in great-grandfather's time, in that we've now put back in place a real, genuinely mixed holding.
Nothing more exciting than the first new potatoes every year. Expectations are always high. I always think that organic potatoes, or organic vegetables altogether, there's just that something extra. And especially, the key really is getting them nice and fresh, straight out of the ground, straight into the house and cooking and eating them.
What did you actually aim to achieve?
We set out to try and achieve a plan for a genuinely sustainable rural development. And the idea was to try and integrate a holding which we could live on, but we could also earn a living from. And so with the water cycle, for instance, we spent a lot of time researching how we could rainwater harvest and how we could deal with our own grey water, how we could remain autonomous from mains water and sewage supplies, for instance. So we've got a grey water recycling system, and the willows that you're sitting next to are the end part of the grey water recycling system.
Simon's a real one for, putting his mind to something and just doing it, and I followed him a lot of the time. It was his vision and his dream, and I thought, right, if he's that determined, knowing him as I did, that somehow we would meet the right people, read the right books, get on the internet, you find yourself in a network of people doing similar things. When you've hardly started looking, someone else is keeping bees, someone else is keeping chickens, and even, going to buy your seeds, people are all wanting to give you information and get you started. And most people do actually think, oh, you're mad, 4 acres of ploughed mud, what are you doing? But once you've shown them that you've got the tenacity to sit with it, then people give you a bit of respect, and you can kind of see the years being, ticked off, and oh yeah, they mean it. We'll kind of offer them a bit more support and a bit more seed swapping or whatever it might be.
This is a serious enterprise, and of course they need to earn their keep, so it needs careful planning.
So how much space have you got here, and how have you divided it up?
We've got just over 2 hectares, which is about 5 acres, and we've subdivided it into a number of smaller areas. An orchard at the front, undersown with a wildflower meadow, and that would have taken it back in a sense to how it would have been in grandfather's time, because the orchard was a very important part of his holding. We've also got an area which is planted with native hedging enclosing vegetable fields, where we grow the vegetables for our veggie box scheme.
Simon and Jackie have set up a scheme to provide their friends and neighbours with a weekly supply of veggie boxes, guaranteed organic vegetables grown on the Gildon Gate smallholding.
Everything is seasonal, so whatever we have in season, whatever we have every week, we pick and we pack it on the same day, and it goes into the veggie boxes.
So is it actually a viable business now?
Yes, it is, and the income substitution that we achieve via things like the wind turbine and the fact that we're dealing with our own waste water, we're not on the mains water, we're not on main sewage, so those sorts of income substitutions, as well as the income that we receive from the veggie box scheme, from guided tours and from making woodland product, etc. It's a real patchwork of income streams which all come together to make it we're never going to be millionaires, but it's something that we never intended to be millionaires from. We did this because we believed in what we were doing. We wanted to try and achieve something that was genuinely sustainable, that gave the kids a wonderful life, we hope, as they grow up, and something for them to inherit, something that we can pass on to them and feel proud of.
What could be a better way of guaranteeing a future, not only for their own family, but to keep the countryside in good heart? As times get harder for traditional farmers, this kind of thinking seems to be the way forward, part of the responsible stewardship of our precious landscape.